Right, so in the previous video I was saying that the next kind of stage to come on this side of the fence with the pampas grasses and stuff will be palms that can grow in full sunlight. Now all palms can grow in full sunlight, but from what I've seen and learned, you don't get the best of them, like Trachycarpus Wagnerianus, if you put them into full sun. I think they prefer shade to semi-shade. The petioles are much longer and the palm leaves are much bigger, and the green colour in them is excellent. So from in this outline here, so you can see how I've moved the paulownia. The last remaining bamboo is going to get chopped. They will be coming out to be transplanted in the springtime. They'll be going down around the end here. I'll be putting low growing palms in here. And yesterday I was out and went into Woody's up in Clonmel, and I went over to where I bought a couple of the Shamrops humilis, and they were gone from the spot, and I said, oh, I'm after missing them, someone else has picked them up. But I kept looking, and lo and behold, they were in another spot here. There was 3 left. They all look super healthy. They're throwing up new spears. I'll put this one up here. These are a slower growing palm, a Mediterranean fan palm. They're much slower than the Trachycarpus Wagnerianus or Nova, especially. You see the little barbs on the petioles. But these will grow in full sun, and they don't get too tall. Probably 6, 7, 8 feet tall. 6 feet would be perfect. So I picked up these last 3 that were there because I haven't seen them for this value, and they were only $19.99. And I've seen small ones here that were only a single stem coming up to around here in other garden centres, and they were charging over like crazy money, 30 odd euro. So I picked up another 3 of the Shamrops humilis, and so the Shamrops humilis will be planted when I finalise the plans. They'll be going into full sun somewhere around here. That's why a lot of this stuff has been taken out here. Right, so that's the musabaju. Have it dug up, and it's gone into nice dry compost that was kept here in the tunnel. And I'll wait till this leaf dies down, like all the other leaves in here. The pots are drying out, so all the heavy clay and stuff that was around the root ball, that will start to dry out now because it's been kept out of the rain, and hopefully go dormant, and then I'll pack fleece around these pots. So this is just an experiment that I'm going to carry out for the winter. The doors are going to be left open. I think one of the worst things you can do is actually close the doors, even in the bad weather and the icy weather, because you'll just create too much moisture here, and you need airflow. You need lots of air to come through. But with the icy weather and icy winds, they're going to come through. If your plants are down in the lines of that icy cold airstream coming through, it could freeze the pots. So what I'm going to do is some of the palms here that have the the leaves are just an insulating layer. I'm going to use these as a barrier, a wind barrier, to stop, and an extra insulation layer, cardboard. So if the icy winds come through, it's not going to be hitting the pot like it would with this. That this barrier here is here to protect those pots, because plants in pots, especially palms, can get killed if they're in pots. They're much healthier in the ground. But these are the Trachycarpus that I had divided that were out here. This is Washingtonia robusta, and I've chopped them all right back. I bought, in the first year I started back with this project, I bought 2 pots, and they had 3 stems coming up, and there's lots of green leaves and everything. But they were I pulled, so what? There was 6. 4 of them are dead. They just died, and so I decided to take these up. There's no point in leaving them out over winter because they're going to die. And just on closer inspection, I had to cut back, because when I started to look down inside, there was wood lice and all different little bugs and critters in there, which you don't want down in the... So I've chopped this right back to nice dry material, and we can still see it's green here, so there is still growth, but there's no way. The ends of the fronds here, the leaves were all brown, so I've chopped these back as well. The Washingtonia robusta, I wouldn't advise it as a hardy palm for Ireland, but just to keep up with the experimentation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pot these up into a nice rich soil with some gravel for drainage, and I'm going to put them up around the house in full sun. I might put them under the back window. I might take the cannas out of the big pots and put these into their own pot and leave them in full sun, or maybe I might put them into smaller pots, and each winter I can just move them into the house. But we'll see how we get on. So I have 2 left. I might actually yet bring these in if we get a blast of snow or heavy ice, just to bring them into the house. Right, so these are the Novananus. The Nova is argued that it is the fastest growing palm in the Trachycarpus family, and the Nanus is the smallest. It's the dwarf palm, and it's much slower growing. And I did bring in 3, and they were very small, but the growth, there's no doubt about it. I think with the Nova Cross, they're growing really, really fast. Like the development, the fronds that they're already starting to open up, they are super fast. I did have 3. Max killed one, basically. I came home from work and it was in bits. Tried to save it, but he chomped it up too much. So these stronger palms, unlike the Trachycarpus fortunei, I'm going to leave these out. There's no need to bring these in. And the Scheffler are hardy enough to stay out as well. But definitely looking to get more of the Novananus. Very fast developing. This is the fastest developing palm, I think, out of all the different palms. I brought in 2 Common princeps. I got this from the same distributor company, My Palm Shop. And this is a Common princeps in there. No dieback whatsoever. Plenty of gravel mixed with the compost in there. And throwing out new spears. Got nice, lovely fan palm shape to it. This is its first winter. So any of the first winters with the small palms, I'm going to cover them up. So the first cover just to keep the rain off. They should handle the temperatures. The second one is in here, and I will be putting a cover over that one as well. Here's probably the smallest palm that I have, and this is Winsan. Thrown up a new spear. Got these blackened leaves here from last winter, but I'm going to put it into this corner. I will be putting a cloche over this to protect it as well. So that will be its second winter, but I'm still going to protect that one. Basically I wanted a palm to fill up in that back corner to go up here, and I thought Winsan would be ideal. The ground is sloping forward, so there should be drainage. It's not going to be sitting in, there's a lot of stone up around here. So if I can just nurse this through a couple of winters with the covers, they should be fine. If you're getting into palms and you start looking at the Trachycarpus palms and they say hardiness to minus 15, 16, hardiness to minus 12, etc. That's big palms. They're talking about the adult palms. There's a small Trachycarpus Fortunii that slipped in the back here early in the summer. New spear. I'm going to put a mulch around that now. So this will be there first. These are the hybrids. This will be their first winter, and I'll be covering these up. Now about it, the princeps, the pure princeps, they're a lot slower. They need a couple of years. All palms need 4 or 5 years to get going before they start to develop upwards. These are the Trachycarpus Wagnerianus. The more and more I see these, the more and more I like them. Just the way they're so stiff and they stand up, the rigidness. Beautiful, beautiful palms. Much smaller leaves, as I said, much more rigid. And I think a lot of the palms, a lot of people talk about the bluishness or whiteness that's at the back of the palm. I've come out in the winter and they were all white or blue at the back. Any of the palms I had. But definitely I have a couple of Trachycarpus Wagnerianus, small ones, on the way. They'll be going in down around the jungle path. Schefflera. Taiwaniana, absolutely fantastic. I'll be looking to get more of these, a lot more of them. I think they're just fantastic. Brachyopsis hispida. So hispida has come into its own now. Massive leaves. It's gone through, was it 2 winters? No protection. Starting to come into flower. And the Brachyopsis mitis that's in bits now. There's branches getting snapped, the wind is pulling it apart, although the stem is growing a lot faster. So what I've noticed between the two Brachyopsis mitis comes into growth much earlier than hispida in this part of the garden, and they both get through winters. They've seen -7, not prolonged, probably a couple of nights, but they're well able to handle it. Now if there was a week or two of it, it would probably kill them off. I'm going to throw this cloche over again, which I did last winter with the princeps. Still a small palm, but it is definitely growing. Just want to keep the base clean. You don't want any rot getting in at the base down there. So there's plenty of gravel and stone gone in. If you have debris, rotten leaves down around the base of your princeps cleared out, make sure that trunk is nice and clean. Even on the hybrid princeps. So the air can get in and out there. It's doing fine. Yeah, so I went off topic there. So as regards palm hardiness, really small palms, juvenile baby palms, they're not hardy to the temperatures that you're going to see on the website. If you just get a small little palm, put it out and leave it open to the winter, ice, snow, wind, rain, it doesn't have the strength in that plant or in that root ball to survive, especially if it's coming from a pot in a nursery. If it was seed that was falling from a much bigger plant, then it'd probably have a much more natural chance because it's developed from a tiny little seed, and that strength is going to be in it. So this is the Trachycarpus Wagnerianus that I transplanted earlier in the spring. I don't want to ever do that again. That was an awful job. But this is going to be allowed. I'm going to have to cut that branch. It's going to be allowed to go up. The bigger the palm, the stronger it's going to be in the winter. So I've no doubt, I've seen this, they actually look fantastic. When these were up at the patio area in the middle of winter, they just looked fantastic. It was like they were coming into their own. They don't actually do their best, I think, in the summer. I think in the autumn and winter they look fantastic here. There is actually a kind of a bluish tinge at the back. Some of the palm leaves are different. So you can see the gap here. Some are much more wide open. I think depending on the age of this one is nearly closed. I did have some that were completely 360. So this is an earlier spear. It's starting to open up. And here's the spear that came behind that. And here's this spear. So I think after the transplant, this palm didn't have any dieback. I don't think it's had any shock. Yeah, so when you have small palms, that small palm is not as strong in the root sense or the energy that's stored within it. Okay, so with small palms and the hybrids along the path and the Winsan and the crosses over there, come on princeps, they'll have to be protected. Okay, so protect your small palms, otherwise you're just going to have spear pull and stuff. Another thing that I'm going to concentrate on is this wild sedge. I think they are fantastic. Now I know when I was up in the garden centre, I was talking to the chap up there, and he was saying that it's a real bully, it's a brute of a sedge, but it's going to grow up and fill up this area, which I want, and it's going to be bulletproof in the winter. Two of the grasses that did not work out and they're going to be moved, I might actually dig them up and pot them, was the Japanese, get the pronunciation, Hanakloa. It's supposed to be a golden coloured grass, and I thought it would have looked lovely planted either side of the tree fern here, but it did nothing, hasn't done anything, it's just gone back. Here's another sedge. It's actually much softer, it could be a different variety. We'll find out anyway. But you'll actually get some of these wild sedges just growing, especially along rocky pathways and stuff. I think they're going to look fantastic, all planted in around here when I put in some smaller ferns and stuff. But the Hanaclo has definitely not thrived in here. The waggy princeps, this is the other palm that I transplanted. I think they're slower, slightly slower growing, but it's still throwing up a spear. There's no, I'm giving that a good tug there, there's no spear pull there. But definitely the more and more I see these, the more I appreciate them and like them. Smaller, stiffer leaves compared to the Fortunei. Here's another transplant that I got. This is a wild type sedge. We'll see how this turns out. This other Trachycarpus Wagnerianus. It's only a small one here, but it's thrown out. New spear. I won't be protecting that. I'd say that'll be fine. I think once they get up to that height, they should be good enough to survive a winter. So you can use clear plastic, or you can, like big sheets of plastic, and I made frames. They went over the tetrapanics in the here and here. But even these clear polycarb sheets, I'm going to be putting these over the palms. Or you can use this corrugated stuff, the clear corrugated. It'll allow the light through, but it'll keep all the rain off and make them big enough as well so they cover a good area around the root ball. Like I have here. So the idea is to keep them drier over the winter. If they get saturated, if these small palms, the winsan, if they get saturated over the winter and then we get a cold snap that lasts for a week or two, and we get some icy weather on top of that, it's a good chance that the root ball in here, which is going to be saturated from all the rain, it's not going to be able to handle get them frozen as well, and you're going to see spear pull and the palm's going to start going backwards and could end up dying. So the air is still going to be able to get in underneath it, and the cold will still get in there, but they're going to be kept dry with that cover over top.